Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the 5th edition Vampire the Masquerade tabletop role-playing rules by World of Darkness. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. Listeners should know that this podcast is intended for a mature audience and will include strong language and mature themes. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and so forth, that may bear resemblance to entities living, dead, or undead is strictly coincidental. My name is Rena Henze, and for tonight's game, I will be your storyteller. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Old Ways podcast, Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle, Blood Moon Rising. I'm your storyteller Rena, and tonight our coterie is going to be getting a little bit into the thick of things, perhaps. So before we get into that, though, we need to do some character introductions. So to my right.
Hi, this is Mike, and I play Marcus Voss of Clan Bruat.
Thanks, Mike. And to Mike's right.
Hi, this is John, and I play Vince Markovich of Clan Tremere.
Yes, we have our baby Tremere back. Welcome back, John. And at the end of the table?
Hi, my name is Tegan, and I'm playing Rum the Shaman. And I'm just happy to be here as a member of Clan Malkavian.
But is the clan happy that you're happy to be here?
Yes, they adore me. Everyone adores me.
Yes, this is true. All right, and to Rob's right.
Hi, this is Ali, and I play Katerina Bogdanovich of Clan Toreador.
Thank you. And last but not least.
This is Tiffany, and I play Alex Giovanni of Clan Hakata.
Wonderful. So we open tonight on November 2nd, the night of November 2nd. So an entire night has passed since the previous events. Well, for some of you, anyway. For Vince, it's been a bit longer of a couple nights. But Alex and Rahm, you've had a spirit of Luther to talk to now that he's got his tongue back. And Marcus and Katerina have been up to some things as well. But now it's time to get back into finishing your investigation. So Marcus is going to be the only one to give me a rouse check tonight.
Ooh, fantastic. That's a 10.
So Marcus is doing great. He's the only one doing great tonight because the rest of you did not sleep. In your various coffins, beds, havens, pillow forts, wherever it was you were, you did not sleep. You went to lie down as the sun was coming up, and the visions that you'd been having, the dreams, filled your brain, but would not allow you to sleep. And so you laid wherever you were, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling or the coffin lid, Vince, and you could not fall asleep as the screams rang in your ears and the entire city took on a red tinge in the light of day. So you're all going to take a point of hunger.
Oh yay, Manic Rum is back.
This is the first time for all of you that you have not been able to sleep during the day. It is unsettling. It's very stressful. And it puts you on edge. Even if your hunger isn't that great at the moment, even if you're not super hungry, the fact that you can't sleep and the fact that you're starting to see bits and pieces of this vision as you are awake is pushing you towards the edge of something dangerous. And as most of you are aware, those you know who had the dreaming had at most 3 nights once they stopped sleeping. So perhaps that's a thought in the back of your minds as the sun sets and you can get up and go about your business without the rest of the daytime. So, Vince, we have some work to do, don't we?
Vince has some very serious work to do. While sleeping, the one face he kept seeing was the burning face of his sire as it melted and ran down her cheekbones. So Vince, feeling reminiscent for old times, is going to go to the collection of remains that he took from her townhouse, and he's going to take her skull out and bring it to the surgery, where he's going to set it on top of a shelf so it can see what's going to happen.
So you invoke the spirit of your truly dead sire by bringing her skull, one of the few bones that was left when she self-immolated, and putting it on top of a filing cabinet in your surgery. And you can't really put this off much longer, Vince. You reminded yourself that you probably didn't have time to complete your ritual in one night, so you gave yourself the time so you could sleep on it, and then you didn't sleep. And you can't wait anymore. And you've got 10 half-drugged humans tied up in here, all looking at you in terror and fear and confusion.
Vince just turns to them. He's like, and he looks at all of them in turn, makes eye contact, and he's just like, I'm very sorry for what I'm going to have to do. But you're going to save lives. And he's actually going to go to one of them and just a quick drink. Just enough to take the edge off. It won't take the edge off, but he thinks it might.
So you go up to one of your captives, a young man in his mid-20s, big green eyes, who looks at you in absolute terror. And you just sort of brush his hair back in what's meant to be a soothing gesture, but just terrifies him more. And you quickly bend down and take a drink from his neck. And luckily for him, this is a soporific effect. His whole body relaxes, he starts to smile in sort of a bliss, and he drifts off into unconsciousness as you drink. But for the other 9 humans in here, this is horrifying. And you start to hear muffled screaming from under the gags and the duct tape, and they're trying to pull away towards the walls as much as they can with the zip ties. And the scent of fear and urine fills the air as they watch you take a drink from this young man's throat.
Vince is going to roll up his sleeves and just say, okay, well, as I said, you're going to save lives. It's really important what we're going to do here tonight. And it's important that you all know you really are going to save so many lives.
Strangely, this does not seem to calm them down.
Well, let's get to work. All right. Actually, Vince has one thing to do before he starts the ritual.
Okay.
And he's to send a text to Marcus Voss.
Okay.
It's just a quick text. It just says, if I don't call you tomorrow, check where I sleep. And he just turns the phone off. Because you can't have distractions. That's going to be a pain. Time to get to work.
So you send a text to Marcus, covering your bases just in case this goes horribly, horribly wrong. You are about to attempt something very dangerous by yourself.
Yep.
With no other blood sorcerers present.
Nope. No supervision.
No supervision whatsoever.
Well, I mean, she's technically here. Kind of.
Well, her skull's there, so... I mean, you can tell yourself it's a kind of supervision.
Yeah. Just like old times.
You can start going about your preparations for the evening as you are getting ready to perform this particular ritual. And we'll get back to your preparations in a moment. As Marcus, you get a text message. And the question is, Marcus, is anyone else there with you when you wake up tonight to this text message?
Is anyone there? I think that's a wonderful question. My sources say yes. There is likely someone still there. And she's likely already awake.
Oh, she is very much still awake because she did not sleep last night.
That is correct.
So I'll get up from bed and casually walk over to where I placed my phone last night and pick it up. So I probably read Alex's message first.
Which was, if I remember right, I said something like, I have a lead on where we need to go and how we need to take care of this. We need to talk.
All right. And then I go to my message from Vince. Oh. And was this was sent last night?
This was sent just a few minutes ago. You heard the incoming text notification as you were waking up.
I'll slide back into a pair of pants and just put a t-shirt on. Turn to Katerina and say, I think our boy is up to something.
Which boy is that? Our Tremere?
Indeed. He's fooling with something. I don't know what.
Let me freshen up and we shall be on our way.
Agreed. I'm going to go downstairs into the office and take a minute to call Alex. There's definitely something important going on there, too.
All right.
Yeah, so Katerina, you only have the same dress you wore 2 nights ago, which you also wore last night.
Yep.
And you're missing a few other pieces of clothing after last night.
I can find my shoes. It's fine. That's about all I need.
She's not talking about your shoes.
Well, considering what happened to them, really all I have left are my shoes.
It's pretty much true. I'll exit the bedroom and head down to the office and see if I can catch Alex before they get too far into their adventures.
Right, so are you going down into the main office or are you going out into the area outside the waiting room?
The meeting space outside my bedroom.
Yes, the meeting space. All right, so you go out into the meeting space and put a call through to Alex. So Alex and Rahm. Rahm, you are still hanging out at Alex's, what with everything going on with rituals and Luther's ghost and all that other stuff, and they don't seem really like they want to let you out of their sight. It's like they don't trust you or something. Maybe. But neither of you slept last night. Or rather, yesterday.
I guess, my other question is, did we, actually get a chance to talk to Luther after that?
Yes.
Okay.
You had a whole night.
And what did he have to say?
I've got something for you that I will send you.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. Don't worry. I've got it taken care of. But in the meantime...
Yeah, I have to go see Eddie. I can drop Rahm off at his compound so he can take care of what he needs to take care of, and I have to head over to Eddie's to get a quick bite. Not literally, because I don't bite Eddie.
I don't think I want to be at my compound, Alex. I don't think that's good for everyone there. I don't have to go with you, but I don't want to go there.
Okay, well, how do you want to feed yourself then? Or do you not need to?
I don't usually bag.
Okay.
So I don't have any at the house.
Okay.
That's not my normal routine. And I don't want to get anyone else in trouble or have to do anything to clean up after me again. Should we even be going out in this state?
I'm okay to go out. And I want to keep it that way. That's why I have to go see Eddie. You can't just go crazy in my apartment because you're hungry. You have to figure something out.
I'm not gonna go crazy in your apartment, but have you heard anything from Vince or Marcus or anyone else? I can't remember everyone's names.
I'm waiting to hear back from Marcus. I'm sure he'll give me a call soon. And if he doesn't, we will go crash his place. Vince, I'm hoping, is got his face so far in a book figuring out our situation. We have to get the rest of them together so that we can take out Zachariah. So.
And as you say that, your phone rings.
This is Alex.
Good evening, Alex.
Oh, I was wondering when you would get back to me.
I've been a busy boy.
Really? Because as far as I'm concerned, the Tremere that's casting and hurting our fellow coterie is still out there.
Just because I haven't been working on coterie business does not mean I have not been busy.
Oh, well, I mean, I just thought maybe you'd care about, the world going crazy and vampires not sleeping and, lighting themselves on fire and stuff, but...
Of course.
I guess if it's not you probably doesn't matter.
Boy, do I sense a tinge of anger in you?
I am a little angry, yes, because I want to get this dealt with. I want to be done with this. It is upsetting things that I need to do.
All right. It will certainly upset the balance if it continues. We all know that.
So, the information that I got, we should probably meet up and talk after everybody's, gotten their dinner plans in order.
Agreed.
When do you want to meet? Want to say in like an hour?
Seems reasonable to me. We're not going to be able to get a hold of Vince because he's busy. He texted me before whatever it is he's doing now.
Good,
He
because
said
I gave him a help with that one.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. All right, then. So why don't we all just dogpile over to Vince's?
I wouldn't interrupt him. Because if we break any kind of concentration with casting and stuff, I think we'll be in big, big trouble.
Interesting. All right.
Plus, we have somebody else we have to go track down.
And I saw a movie where they interrupted a spell and it went really, really bad.
Was that Rahm?
Yes, it is Rahm.
Okay. I assume that Rahm is doing okay?
I think we're all doing okay.
Wonderful.
Marcus, Alex doesn't have any board games in their entire apartment.
Shocked, I'm sure. Anyways, do you want to meet at the shipping container?
Sounds like a good place. I'll meet you there.
Okay, I'll see you in an hour. Thanks.
All right. I hang up.
And then, yeah, I'm going to grab my bite to eat, figure out what Rahm wants to do, and then I have to stop at grandmother's really quick.
So, Alex, you go to Eddie's. Are you taking Rahm with you, since it's in a different building?
I'm sure my driver will love it.
Your driver's going to need a massive raise after this.
Potentially.
I'm just talking to your driver. So there's these like 3 British dudes, right? And they have this podcast.
So Rahm is talking the driver's ear off again. And Alex, you go up to Eddie's and you give the knock and there's no reply.
Oh, fucking hell no. I'll listen. Heightened senses. I'm gonna listen.
You don't hear anything, but you smell blood.
Then I should have a key to his place, so I guess
Yes.
I'll unlock it.
So you unlock the door and you don't smell death, like you did at Maxine's apartment. You don't smell rot or a corpse. You just smell the unmistakable scent of his blood. And it's very recognizable to you because you've been drinking it for several years at this point. And you open into his little living space where he keeps his desk and his computers and everything. And his computers are smashed, cracked, broken, like intentionally smashed with a hammer or something. And there is blood splattered across them. And then you take in the smell of fresh paint. And above the desk where he kept his multiple monitors, you see a mural, a fairly freshly painted mural. It looks like it's looks like binary code superimposed over a backdrop of San Francisco. And the paint is so fresh, it's still dripping. But pinned to the center of this mural is a card. And I'm going to give that to you in your channel. There's no body, there's no Eddie, just blood, broken computers, painting, and this card.
Ugh, fucking Tremere. Or I mean Toreador. Sorry. Anyways. Okay, then I'll look in his fridge.
Hey, there's nothing in his fridge.
God damn it. Okay. Well, then I will snatch the card off the wall. Is there anything on the back of it?
In very small letters, very elegant cursive, there's just the signature Dima.
Do I know that name?
You don't. You haven't heard it before.
Can I smell who touched it last?
With your heightened senses, you inhale, and it's definitely another vampire. Eddie never touched this, as far as you can tell. Although you do catch all of the scent of his blood around this room. But he didn't touch this. It was another vampire who pinned this up for you. You can read the card out for our listeners if you would like to.
I am cordially invited to my own personal art show at my earliest convenience at Hunters Point, 401 Cesar Chavez, San Francisco. And it says you don't want to miss the fun. Except I'm angry now. Okay, I'll grab that and head down back to my car. Get in, slam the door, and head over to Marcus's place.
Rahm is still talking the driver's ear off.
So, like, the best part about it is that when you listen to them, you can just tell they're really good friends.
Rahm, not right now.
And you can see your driver normally doesn't show emotion. He generally has this kind of well-trained professional driver mask on, but when you get in the car and say, Rahm, not right now, you just see his shoulders slump in relief as he starts up the engine again. So, while all this is going on, Vince, you're doing some preparations. How are you preparing for your ritual this evening?
Well, there's some lines to be drawn, and he's doing that. He's just drawing out the hermetics, because it's a hermetic tradition, so he's drawing out the divine geometry that's required. And he's just kind of like, I don't think I could bite all of them to keep them quiet for the night. Probably not realistic to do that.
Well, your ritual does require the full blood capacity from 8, so...
Yeah, see, that's why I'm like, I can't just do that. Can't just keep him quiet with a kiss. So he's just going to, he's keeping number 9 as a backup. Number 8 is just he's probably going to survive the night. That's great for him. No, Vince realizes that there is no chance for any of these people. But that's okay, because that's all they are now. So once he's got the little circle set up and he's ready to go, I think, yeah, there's not much reason for him to dawdle.
So you paint out the symbols and this circle, this ritual circle, the way Karen taught you to do in the center of the surgery. You've cleared out the operating table and everything else. You don't need them for this part. And you are ready to begin attempting this ritual. And it's very tense for you with everything that's been going on and the lack of sleep. Every time you turn your head slightly to look at Karen's skull where you've placed it up on this filing cabinet, you swear just for a second you can see her melting face coming down off it again and again and again. And the scent of blood in here from the little nibble you took earlier is so strong. It's almost overpowering for you. And I would like you to make a willpower check here to see if you're able to resist finishing your meal before you begin, because you know there's going to be a lot of blood in this room, Vince. And maybe it would be better to just get it over with now.
1 success.
That's not very good, Vince. Just as you finish preparing, you just keep looking over at that one person that you took a nibble from, and it was really good, actually. You know, William got you some quality humans. And just the smell. So you still have the scent of iron in your nostrils after the visions and the not sleeping. I don't think you can resist finishing the job here, Vince. You've got to eat.
Vince is going to drag this guy out of the room. He doesn't want the distraction after he's done. He doesn't need that. So yeah, he's dragged out of the ritual chamber, and now he's just in the hall. And best make this clean though. So Vince is going to use his new trick of magically pulling the blood out of his body.
So, luckily for this poor victim, he's already blissed out. He doesn't feel a thing as you completely drain him of every last drop of blood.
The worst part is I don't even feel better.
You don't. It doesn't ease your hunger at all. The taste was good, but you don't feel like it did anything for your hunger.
That's very unfortunate. But you know what? I guess I don't have the distraction now. Distraction was the problem. Let's get back to it.
So you leave the body in the hallway and you go back into your soundproof room. And the other 9 are now looking at you in absolute terror when you come back without the other one. You hear, with your heightened senses, a couple of them muttering what sounds like an Our Father, perhaps a Hail Mary.
It's like, hey, stop that. Don't mess with what I'm about to do, huh? I'm doing something important. Don't mess with.
Somehow, this does not calm them down. And it gets more frantic. But it's time, Vince.
Time. Just gotta do it.
So you know that with this ritual, essentially what you need to do is purify your own vitae.
Mm-hmm.
And then you will be able to hopefully build on that to cleanse other vampires. But for now, yours is the one that's the important one. So you're going to need to fill a glass with your own blood. And it needs to be a crystal glass, which you have in your former alcohol cabinet.
Yeah, she had nice things, and he just cuts open his palm in very true edgelord style and just bleeds into the glass. It's just like, I should have cut like a vein or something. This is taking forever. He just stands there for a bit.
With all of your soon-to-be victims watching you, scared as you cut your own palm and let the blood drip into this glass.
He's like, yes, it's part of the whole thing. Don't worry about it, folks. It just takes a bit.
Somehow your calm, even, monotone reassurances make things worse. You can smell the panic and the fear rising in the room as your blood drips, drips, drips into this glass. And since that's going to take a bit, we're going to leave you there for a moment and pop over to Marcus and Katerina. So, Katerina, you found your shoes. So you have a dress, a coat, and shoes. Congratulations. And Marcus, you've finished your phone call to Alex.
Wonderful. Yes, I'll pop back into the living quarters here and make sure that Katerina is aware of where we'll be going and what we'll be doing. So Alex has requested that we kind of group up a little bit. There's some pretty important things still going on, like finding what fucking asshole is in charge of this whole blood ritual shit and putting an end to them. To that end, we're going to stop down to the container and have a private conversation. All of us. They've got Rahm in tow. And, it should be a hoot.
Do we have time to stop at the bakery for me to, change?
Change? You look perfectly fine to me, Kat.
Yes, well, I have need of a new outfit, yeah?
Oh, certainly. We wouldn't want you to go to any sort of meeting without proper undergarments, right?
No.
I think if we can make haste from here, we can get to the bakery and back to the container in time. We've got about 50 minutes, and Alex Giovanni isn't someone I like to keep waiting.
No, it should not take long. I just need to slip on a new outfit and we shall be good to go, yeah?
Sounds delicious. I turn around.
And I will follow him out.
I make a pretty quick work through the office, so I'm not stopping to talk to anybody save Marie, if she's there.
Yes, Marie is there, and she doesn't make any comment about the fact that you emerge with someone from your upstairs.
Good. She'd fucking better not.
She doesn't. She doesn't even seem to notice Katerina at all. Like, she looks a little tense. And as you approach her desk, she just looks up and she's like, Marcus, I can't find Greg. He's not here. And he's not answering his phone or his email. I offered to take him out for coffee if he needed to talk, and he didn't reply, Marcus. And Harv isn't here either. Or Ted.
I see.
The office does appear to be slightly less busy than it normally would be at this time of evening. And she just looks really tense and frustrated and agitated. What's happening? I can't find them.
I'm not sure. But what I do know is that panicking about the situation won't solve anything. So get your blood under control.
She takes a deep breath.
A very targeted search. People they know, their coworkers outside of the office. Make a few calls. Direct the energy, direct the fear and the anxiety into purpose. Otherwise, it's useless.
I know. It's just that kid Jimmy's been gone for several days, and the police are worried they're not going to find him at all. And I've heard from his union rep, and it's just the phone won't stop ringing. It's okay. Deep breath, right?
Yes, breathe while you can. I smile.
Right, got it. Okay. She turns towards the office phone. I'm gonna call the other offices in the area, see if Harv's been around doing deliveries or something. Maybe someone's seen Greg.
Keep me informed.
Always. But you can still see and feel the tension in her entire body. She's an extremely anxious person.
She probably needs a good, hefty drink. soon. We'll have to attend to that. I mentally make a note to get to that before it gets to me. So, and then I'll turn and head out with Katerina and make haste to the bakery.
Okay. So the two of you leave fairly quickly and head for the bakery. So, Katerina, you go into the bakery. The lights are off. It's quiet. So you took all of your vampire staff to quarantine, and you told your human staff not to come in. But as you enter the bakery, you catch a scent of blood.
Those motherfuckers are gonna pay. I'm gonna find the source really quick.
You follow the scent back to your office, and this is the office you share with Cora and Ray Ray, depending on who's running the business at the moment. And your desk has been broken into.
That's not good.
And there is a splattering of blood on the wall and the smell of fresh paint. And you see a very familiar looking pair of sunglasses crushed as if under someone's foot under this fresh paint on the wall. And you realize where you've smelled that blood before. And as you have this realization, you're taking in everything in here, and you see this painting. It looks like a picture of a cake, but it's dripping blood all over the San Francisco skyline. And there is a card stuck to the middle of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna rip that card off the wall. I'm not gonna worry about reading it right now, because I need to go change really quick, and I will hustle upstairs since running is not ladylike, and I will change into pants and a fairly loose shirt, mostly because in case I need to run at any point, it's gonna be a little easier. And I go back downstairs and get into Marcus's car and look at the card.
You see this card with the signature Dima on the other side, inviting you to your own personal art show. And Marcus, you can feel the agitation rolling off Katerina.
Yeah, I figured that's why I'm not bothering with any additional commentary, and I'm just driving.
Do you say anything, Katerina? Do you tell him what's happened? Or do you just fume?
We need to put an end to this. They've taken someone very dear to me, and I will not stand it.
All right.
I was left a personal invitation for an art show, and there is an address, but we can talk about that once we make it to the container, yeah?
Yeah,
Can you drive faster?
always.
Let's go.
And the two of you speed off towards the shipping container. So meanwhile, Alex and Rahm were planning to stop and see grandmother briefly before heading to meet with Marcus.
Correct.
So you have your driver stop off at Vera Giovanni's, where grandmother is currently staying.
Then I will politely knock
And-
on the door.
The door opens before you have a chance to knock.
Oh, well. That's not very shocking, I suppose.
Did I come this time, or am I in the car?
I don't think I care at this point, so if you get out, you get out.
Sweet, I'm right behind you.
Grandmother looks at you with her blind eyes and just goes, I was expecting you. Come in.
Of course you were. And I go in.
We don't have much time.
Agreed. I just had a few questions if you could, well, looks like you've already made time for me, which I greatly appreciate. Do you know where Zachariah is? Do you know his last known whereabouts?
Last I heard from him, he was in San Jose. But this was before.
Right.
I can only assume he's closer now.
Okay, what kind of places did he like?
Well, when you think of Tremere, what do we like?
Libraries.
Correct. And, what's the oldest library in San Francisco, Alex? So the oldest library in San Francisco is the Park Branch Library, which was built in 1909.
Okay.
And Alex would know this because Alex was here when it was built.
Right. Oh, yes. I remember seeing the Park Branch being built.
It's not as old as Zachariah prefers, but it's the oldest one you have here. That's where I would look.
Thank you. Also, have you ever heard of edema?
Dima. Not one of ours.
I didn't think so. Probably an associate. I will, hold the card out for her.
She inhales the scent of the card. Her fingers run across it. I'm going to give a roll for her. See what she knows or what she picks up. Okay, so what she picks up with her 5 successes here. Toreador. But corrupted somehow.
Well, that confirms my suspicions. Corrupted, probably in the Sabbat.
No. Although there is a hint of it, but... Ministry. I smell the fanaticism. I didn't know we had those in San Francisco.
Ministry?
Smells vaguely snaky. And she shudders a little bit.
Oh. I don't know if Alex knows. I know.
So Alex would know a little bit about some of the cults under the heading of the ministry, and when grandmother mentions snaky, your first thought is Set.
Right. Goddamn followers. All right. Well,
nasty buggers.
Yeah, they're gonna be hard to get rid of. Well, I appreciate your time and getting everybody else together to do your favor, because it'll do us all a favor. If there's anything else I can do, please let me know.
Have you heard from the neonate? He's not trying this by himself, is he?
Oh, he totally is.
You didn't leave him alone with the ritual, did you?
I'm not a Tremere, so I didn't know he couldn't do it himself. He doesn't know any other Tremere. And you didn't seem interested in wanting to help because you have better things to do?
I can't help. I'm not infected.
So then should I just get everybody to go to his place?
If it's not too late, it might be a good idea. Really, Alex, you shouldn't leave a 3-year-old to do any kind of blood magic whatsoever without supervision.
I don't even know how to do blood magic, but okay, I get it. I was too busy babysitting this one.
I know. Ah, Oracle.
Hello.
You seem a little hungry today.
I have been unable to break my fast.
And you won't be able to.
I completely agree with you, but I must speak up for Vince. He is quite competent for a 3-year-old.
Sure, but we still need to go make sure he's safe. We don't want him lighting himself on fire. Thank you, grandmother, for your time. I will call everybody and tell Marcus he was right.
I don't think you're going to enjoy doing that by the sound of your voice, but have fun.
Thanks.
Can he light himself on fire?
And just the tone changes in the room for just a split second, and you feel her withered old hand on yours. Just remember what I asked, Alex, for my son.
That's my next goal, after obviously making sure Vince is okay. I will be on it.
Be quick. Be quick.
I'll do my best.
She nods. The city isn't on fire yet, so you probably still have time. Off you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk out, and as I am, I'm like dialing up Marcus.
Marcus, your phone rings as you pull out of the bakery.
Hang on. I say in the receiver. Hang on. Yeah, and fuck you, buddy. We're trying to get through traffic. We're almost there.
No. Go to Vince's. You were right.
About what?
We should be there to make sure that he's okay, and he can't do this alone. I have it from an older Tremere that knows what they're doing.
Wait, well, why aren't they helping him?
Because they aren't infected.
All right, look, I'll meet you there. Get off this phone. Hang up. And then I will very quickly do an about face with the vehicle.
Yeah, I'm going to grab Rob's hand and pull him along with me and get in the car.
Aw.
So, Vince, you have finally filled your crystal glass with your own vitae. And you set it carefully in the center of this circle. There are the phases of the moon around it, drawn out very, very specifically with strange runes on each of the phases. And you follow the directions that you've managed to pull together between these multiple different sources, from Vera, from your sire, from Phoebe. You think you have it right? You think you have the right order for everything? But let's have a roll just to see how well.
Yeah, I'd be delighted to.
So you're going to roll your blood sorcery for me, plus your occult, because you're using two different things here. You're using your Tremere power, but you're also using your occult knowledge to try and put this whole ritual together.
Okay.
The number of successes you get will determine how well some things go. And that's not ominous at all.
3 10s.
And what is your hunger at?
After feeding on that guy, 1.
No, you did not satiate your hunger by draining that guy.
So it's still 2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. Well, it's 2 then.
Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. So you think you've got it as well as you can get it, all these symbols and the order of everything. And you know what you need to do next is you think back to the drawings you found in Karen's murder basement. You're going to need to take one of these humans and put them in each of the cardinal directions from this center circle. So north, south, east, and west. So you're going to have to drag 4 of your victims into this circle now.
Shouldn't be too difficult. Vince is a nurse. He's used to manhandling people when needed. Usually they're a bit smaller and frailer and older, but you can do it. It's within the realm of possibility. Do you need a strength check?
No.
Okay.
You can just do it. You get them positioned properly. And you have a short chant in Latin that Karen had written out in her journal for you. Well, for her, but now it's for you. And you are going to have to recite this as you cut the throat of each of these 4 humans. And not a single drop of blood can go outside the circle. The blood has to fill the circle.
There's always some trick to these things. Well, you know what? Hopefully magic will help. Yeah, and Vince is gonna... It's like, okay, guys, I'm about to start. What I'm about to do really will save so many lives. And he's just going to take out his pocket knife and take out the sharpened blade. And he's just like, all right.
You're going to ritually murder 8 people with a pocket knife.
Well, I've got a scalpel, but actually that's probably better. It's sharper. Could use a kitchen knife, but I don't.
You think?
He's like, no. I didn't think this part through. Yeah, Vince is gonna take it out, look at the blade, realize it's not quite sharp enough, it won't do the job. Go over to the drawer of utensils in the surgery and take out something a bit more appropriate.
All right. So you take out the scalpel. You don't need to worry about sanitizing it or anything.
Yeah,
it won't really matter to these people after a bit. Doesn't matter if they pick up any bacteria. So I would like a roll from you, Vince, to see if you can handle these sacrificial killings without spilling their blood over the circle. Because this is your first time doing this kind of ritual, and you don't have anyone there to help you. So you're going to give me dexterity plus athletics.
So just dexterity.
Yes. And you're going to want 3 successes here. So we have a messy critical. With a messy critical, that means that you succeed, but the beast takes over in some way. You succeed because of the beast. And so you recite this chant as you go around. You start at the north and you cut the throat. There's just a horrified whimpering gurgle. And maybe the Vince of a couple nights ago would have wanted to ease the pain or felt bad for a moment that he couldn't ease the pain, but this Vince does not think about it. And then you go to the east, the south, the west, and your hands shake slightly because this is an important moment for you. And you're having to do this on your own without your sire, other than her melting skull behind you, without any other Tremere, any other blood magicians, anyone. And as you finish the cut on your victim, your sacrificial victim on the west, you can feel this heady scent of their blood filling the room. You can hear the cries of whimpering panic from the other 5 who are still crouched up against the walls. And Vince, you need someone to witness this for you. You need someone to watch this and be testament to what you are achieving. And you have this extra human who's not required for the ritual, one of the extras that William sent you, just in case. And she needs to be your witness, Vince. What is the point of this great achievement in blood sorcery for you as a neonate Tremere if someone doesn't see? So what are you going to do with this witness?
So once the last drop of blood is out of the 4th victim, Vince is going to just turn very slowly and look. He's going to put them back down the same way he put the others back down, at the back in their compass point. And he's going to go over and stroke back her hair, and he's like, "You are going to witness greatness. Don't worry. You can't look away. What you're going to see is, you're going to see something really special. Just a minute. I'll be right back." And he comes back with one of the library chairs, and he hoists her up into the chair. And she's just in a corner now, and he's just like, "You can't look away. If you don't look away, you get to live, because you will have seen all that I've done. And you will be able to be a testament to. Of course, if you look away, you're nothing, and there's no purpose in keeping you alive. So, watch everything that I do. And afterwards, you're going to write it all down, and then I'll let you go." And he just goes back to the ritual.
You just get this absolutely terrified nod from this middle-aged woman as you sit her in the chair, and she looks like she's in pain, like she's trying not to blink as she's just staring in horror at the corpses and the blood and everything filling the room, filling that circle. But you have your witness, Vince, and you can go back to your ritual. So let's have a luck roll from each of the two groups that are speeding towards this bungalow to see when you arrive. So someone in the Alex Rahm group make a roll, and someone in the Marcus Katarina car make a roll. Single D10.
That is a 2.
So you have not arrived yet.
That's a 1. So maybe we stopped and got McDonald's on the way. Rom wanted a slushie.
I think maybe your discussion with grandmother took a little bit extra time.
Right. It would.
That makes sense.
You just haven't gotten close enough yet, because you did stop to talk to grandmother and then you had to call Marcus.
Right.
And Marcus, you had to find somewhere you could turn around without getting potentially pulled over by a cop, because that's the last complication you need right now.
Totally.
So you're not quite there yet, but you're trying. And so, Vince, you go back to your ritual. 4 of your sacrifices have been made, and you can see their blood that's filling this circle. You see it filling the runes and filling in these drawings that you made, and you can feel a subtle change in the blood as it fills this circle. And you watch as these 4 corpses, now completely drained, begin to shrivel and shorten and shrink. And you see, it's almost like watching hundreds of years pass for these bodies. Just hundreds of years all at once, as their flesh turns to dust and their bones crumble. And now you can take these piles of ash and sprinkle them across the blood.
Vince just has it in his palm, and it just pinches, and he's just shaking it out. Kind of like someone sowing seeds of grass or wheat or some cereal. And he's just shaking it out across the circle and trying to get good, even coverage. That he thinks that's important. He's not entirely sure that it is, but it probably wouldn't hurt.
You watch the ash of these corpses sink into the blood somehow, and the energy in the air is starting to change in here. It's almost like static electricity. You can feel it. Something is changing in here. And other humans, the ones who are still alive, can feel it too. And they've stopped whimpering, they've stopped praying, whatever it was they were doing, and they're just kind of shrinking back and looking around in horror. One of them looks like she's on the verge of passing out, which is completely understandable at this moment. But you can feel something is starting to work. Hopefully it's the right thing, but something's working.
It's definitely my thing. I'm doing the right thing.
Definitely. You're doing okay.
Yeah.
You're doing okay. And you can collect the ash heap, which is now soaked with blood. It's become almost like a kind of clay, much easier to pick up. And you can add it to this crystal glass of your own vitae.
Yeah, and he's very precise as he's doing it. The Tremere instinct for perfection, that is the beast inside of Vince, is just... It is absolutely on its A-game right now. It's got the carefully lifted pile of blood clay, and it's just going to very just ceremoniously lower it in to the chalice of blood.
And so the first half is complete. If this were some ordinary infection, this would be enough. But it's not. You need to break the magic that created this infection. And this is where your other 4 victims are going to come in. And this is where it's going to be a little bit harder doing this on your own, because it's going to be very important for the first 2 you bring into the circle, because you need them to drink each other's blood.
I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to get them to do that, but I'm going to have to figure something out. This sleep deprivation is hell. Yeah, so Vince is going to very carefully pick them up one at a time. He's not strong enough to lift both. And bring them into the center of the circle without stepping on any of his markings. And now he's kind of stuck. He's like, I could use hosing? Yeah. And he goes over to one of the drawers, and he just pulls it open, and these victims see him rustling. And he's like, oh yeah, there we are. And he just takes out a length of a clear medical grade hose. And he's like, well, it won't need to be terribly long. And he just looks at them both kind of contemplatively, and he's just like, it doesn't need to be terribly long. Yeah, I have other ways of helping with this too, such as compel. So okay, so no loose blood kind of situation, or a little bit of loose blood is okay?
Because they're in the circle, if any drops, it's okay, but you need them to drink essentially a cup's worth each. But if they dribble some, it's in the circle and it'll be caught.
Yeah, I think this is going to take Vince a little while to rig up. But what the plan is that he's going to hook each one to the other's vein. And he's going to compel them to drink. He can't make them, do terrible stuff, but he can just be like, suck on the straw. He also has 2 crimps so that he can crimp the hoses shut once the needful has been done.
So essentially, you just have to give them a 1-word command, and you can just say drink.
Yep.
And they'll do it.
Oh, in that case, I could just bleed each of them into a cup. And then just be like, drink this. Well, drink. I think that's the easiest way to do this. It's the least complicated.
You have these little goblets, essentially, that Karen gave you for ritual purposes. And you can siphon off a full cup from each of them, and you give them the opposite glass, and you compel them to drink. And they do. And your witness and the other 2 humans in the room start crying again in terror and fear and just literal what the fuckness at what they're seeing.
And Vince turns to his witness, and he's like, what he does after he cuts them is that he licks the wound so that it'll heal. because he's learned that thing about the vampire saliva from Ram's business idea. So he's like, so you see, the genius in what I've just done is using the compulsion ability, the ability to compel Kine. I have forced them to perform the ritual, even though they would never do such a thing willingly. It's very important that you understand that it's also quite clever that I licked the wounds, because that causes them to heal.
She just whimpers.
It's like, don't worry. It'll all become clear. You'll understand it all. All become clear in time. And he just goes back to what he was doing.
So they, under the compulsion, drink the blood that is given to them. And you know that once they have done so, inside this circle, you're going to need to drain them. And in this case, you cannot waste it.
Vince is going to reorientate them now so that they're kind of like two snakes eating each other's tail. Each one's head is at the other's feet. Because he thinks the symbolic imagery of it is pleasing. Yeah. So another athletics roll?
Yes, another dexterity plus athletics.
Yep.
So for you, just dexterity. Well, you do succeed, but it's a messy critical again. You're lucky there's no tiger sharks in the area, that's all I'm saying. So I think in this case, you realize that you're going to have to essentially treat this like a meat factory. Because the way you've set them up is not going to work. You're going to lose a lot of blood there. You're going to have to hang them upside down and drain them as if they were cattle.
Unfortunate, but the only option we've got. But it's okay because they are cattle. They're kind. Yeah, so now Vince is going to have to figure out a suspension point for each one.
Karen used to live here. There's
definitely suspension points.
There's got to be a suspension point.
Oh, no. There's definitely suspension points. He's just trying to figure out, are they like perfectly aligned above the circle? Doesn't have it in here, but he leaves the room for a minute and goes out to the garage. Or the garage. And comes back with a length of it's like just paracord really. Just, like just general about the house cord. Quite strong, about a centimeter thick. And he's gonna tie it to their ankles and just using the suspension points, just hoist them up.
There's a lot of screaming and crying from everyone in the room.
That I have to suspend them like this is because the blood is too valuable. It can't be wasted. You see, even a drop outside of the circle would be disastrous for my experiment. And he's just pulling, because he's not a super strong guy, so he's just like pulling it and just being very patient that it's going to take him a little while.
So we can take another luck roll at this point from both cars to see if you're pulling up outside or not.
Katarina's going to roll this time.
I got a 9.
Okay. Both cars pull up outside of Vince's bungalow at about the same time. It is quiet, other than your cars pulling up, and you don't see any lights on in the bungalow.
Yeah, get out of the car.
Yeah. As I'm walking up to the door, I'm like, Mina, is Vince here?
There's just a slow knock once for yes.
We need to help him.
Knock for yes.
Then I'll head on in.
The door's locked.
Mina.
He started locking it after last time.
Yeah. Mina, can you unlock the door for us?
I'm going to roll for her and see if she can, because she's not doing great. Let's see if her control is good enough. Okay, she gets 3 successes, so it takes a minute, and you can hear a lot of scratching. It's like something's moving it slowly across the door, and then you hear a pop, and the door swings open.
I mean, otherwise I would have picked the lock, but...
Have the rest of us arrived? Have the rest of us arrived at the
Yes.
door? Okay.
Yes. It is quiet in here. The lights are all off, but all four of you can smell blood. A lot of blood. You smell kine, but you also catch the hint of vitae. And there is a lot of it.
Shit. Mina, can you show us where he's at?
Don't touch anything.
You see spiders, ghostly spiders, skittering down the hallway towards the back of the bungalow.
Okay. I will follow.
Actually, inconspicuously, pulls out of his pocket those little blue booties that you can put over your shoes.
What are you, a realtor?
Do you want a pair?
No. Wouldn't be the
Alright.
first time these boots have seen blood.
Yeah, but I mean, these are nice shoes, so
The spiders skitter off down the hallway, and Alex, you notice that they're a lot fainter than the
Mhm.
ones you've seen Mina produce before, and they're slower. But they're still apparent. And you go down the hallway past the library where you're used to meeting with Vince, and you find a body, a human body, completely exsanguinated, just laying on the ground. It's been completely drained, but it's also got duct tape across its mouth, and it's got zip ties around its wrists and ankles.
I'm gonna keep walking past it and casually over my shoulder and go, Vince knows how to party.
Yeah, it seems like it.
And at the end of the hallway is a soundproof door of the sort that you are very familiar with, Alex.
Does it open the same way mine does?
Yes.
I will open the door.
Vince, did you lock the door or not?
No, I would assume that this door wasn't going to be opened. So, like, as the door is open, you just hear and you see that's why they got to be raised off the ground so the blood doesn't get wasted.
Yeah, so
Oh, fuck.
the door swings open, and the four of you see a room that looks like it's been outfitted like an operating room. And the operating table's pushed off to the back, but you see a couple of humans zip-tied to a railing on the wall, eyes wide in horror, duct tape across their mouths, and if they didn't have duct tape on, they would be screaming. There is a chair with another kind sitting up in it. She's also been tied up and got duct tape over her mouth, and she's staring wide-eyed in horror at Vince, who is standing in a ritual circle, very bloody ritual circle. There is a chalice of what smells like blood mixed with vitae in the middle, and you see him hoisting up to the ceiling two kine upside down. He's suspended them by their ankles, and he's fastening the rope, it looks like, and he's got a scalpel in one hand, and he is just talking to this other kine in the chair.
Vince, is it a bad time?
Oh, hello. I guess Mina let you in. I'm almost done, I think. Hard to tell, first time. But I mean, if you could help me with this rope.
Yeah, grandmother told us to come help you.
But okay. Yeah. So let me see. What do I need you guys to do? And he claps his thighs. He's very blasé about all of this.
This is a very different Vince from the one you saw at Billy the Hammer's office just a few nights ago. This is not a shy, retiring, terrified little neonate. This is a very, very different vampire.
He's just like, yeah, so so far, well, okay, I've got... He gestures towards the witness as if he's like, well, she can tell you all it. Probably for the best not to just now. Yeah, so he's just like, okay, so far I've collected the blood of 4 of the kine. and I got a little bit hungry when I was starting, so that's the guy in the hall. Yeah, I collected the blood of the 4, and I've mixed their ashes with their blood, which created a kind of a blood clay, and I mixed that with my own vitae, and so that would remove any kind of base level disease. Now the trick is going to be the next bit, where I'm going to try and remove the foreign material from my own vitae. It should be interesting. So I've gotten these two to drink each other's blood, and he like slaps their sides like they're just like each one's like just half a cow, and he's just like, so I've gotten these ones to do that, and next step is cutting their throats. Now, would you guys be opposed to giving me a hand? Just direct the bodies so that the blood doesn't, when they squirm, because they always squirm apparently. Just direct it so the blood doesn't squirt. I'll cut it so that it should go straight forward, but I don't want them, flapping about and wasting the blood.
Vince, you would know for this ritual, at least based on what you've read, anyone who's not infected should not set foot in that circle.
He's like, I assume, by the way, that we've all had the dreams. Yes. And he's just like looking at everybody in turn as he says yes.
Yeah, I've got you.
I smile.
So Rahm fesses up.
Yeah, no, I'll go around to help.
You don't. If you're actually okay, this is gonna be a real bad time.
That's what grandmother said. If you're not infected, you cannot help. That's why she can't help you.
He nods. He's like, well, again, I've been doing pretty okay so far.
Okay is relative, but okay.
He kind of shrugs. He's like, not gonna worry about it too much.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyone that's feeling fine and dandy, please feel free to. You can use the library. Feel free to just have a look around. Probably don't want to be in here though. It's gonna be, as I said, not a good place to be.
The witness, meanwhile, is screaming and crying behind her gag, trying to get everyone else's attention in the vain hope that you're here to stop this madman.
And he's like, oh, right. For context, for when you are retelling what I've done, and he looks at a timepiece on his wrist. It's like a little Fitbit he has. He's like, at so and so minutes into the ritual, the rest of my coterie arrived and were present so that I could perform the ritual. They came to assist. Any members that were not ill were told to leave the room, and I would like that to be on the record. He's very much treating her like a dictaphone during an autopsy.
Does anyone leave the room?
So I'll speak up and say, I haven't been dreaming at all. And so let me tell you 2 very important things, Vince. 1, good luck. In fact, good luck to all of you. And 2, I'm not sure why you're telling her anything, because she can't leave this house alive.
No. Look, Marcus, I'll explain it to you afterwards, but I need someone to chronicle what I've done. It's very important that there's somebody. And he's just smiling as he's saying, it's very important that there's somebody here who can explain all the steps. And she's been here since the start, ever since last night when...
Mina could write it down.
I'm quite busy and my hands are quite bloody, so it's a little bit difficult to write things down. But yeah, it's fine. Look, she's going to be my little companion. She's going to make it out of this okay, as long as she keeps watching what I do. Remember. And he's like talking to her now. He's like, remember, if you look away, you are no value to me. And he's like, see, it'll be fine. I'm sure you've seen a mad Tremere before.
Yeah, Alex, Vince has gone from bumbling baby neonate to full-blown mad scientist Tremere in the space of about 2 nights.
I look at Alex before I leave the room and I say, I said what I said.
About?
She doesn't make it out of this.
No, she's not. He's got Mina. Mina will write it down for him. It'll be fine.
Guys, you don't understand.
No, you don't understand. The one code, the one thing we all live by One thing is the masquerade, and she's a fucking breach waiting to happen. And so if she gets out of this room, if she gets out of this house, I'll rip her apart myself.
She won't get that far.
Either that or you ghoul her.
Don't worry. I'm going to take care of it. And he turns to her and he's like, don't worry. As long as you keep looking, you'll be perfectly safe and fine.
She's passed out from fright.
Vince, just tell us what we need to do. Let's get this going.
I step out of the room, shut the door.
There are other people missing. We have things to do. We have to take care of the person that is casting this in the first place. Otherwise, all of this wonderful, perfectly done work will be for naught.
Vince is like, oh, we know who he is.
Oh, yes. And I know where to find him. So let's get a move on.
And he kind of looks over at Karen's skull on top of the filing cabinet and he's like, oh, you know where he is. Yeah, okay. Let's get this on. And he's just dead calm.
So the other three of you are staying in the room? Katerina, Rahm, and Alex?
Yes.
Okay. So, Marcus, that tells you that everybody else in your coterie is infected, which you did not know before. So, you are now fully aware of this.
Key choices were made last night, though. And key choices were made correctly.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to go hang out with Mina, I guess.
Okay. So you go hang out with Mina in the library. So, Vince, for the rest of this ritual, it goes a lot easier now that you have three other helpers.
Oh, that's great.
And the three of you feel this same kind of staticky tingle in the air. It gets stronger as you step into the circle. Marcus, you didn't notice anything at all when you were in that room, other than the blood and the humans and everything, the mad Tremere in the middle of it. But the rest of you feel this. You can feel that there's some kind of power in here, especially you, Alex. You've been around Tremere blood magic before. You feel something working. And so you're able to drain these two victims over the circle. Vince has to do the actual cutting because it's his ritual, but you're able to help him hoist the bodies and keep them still so that the blood all pours into the circle. Most of it drips into this chalice. And once the bodies are drained and you can cut them down, set them aside, these drained corpses, stack them up neatly. Now you know where those stacks of corpses probably came from in Karen's basement, what they were used for. The last part of the ritual is taking this vial, this chalice of your vitae and this mixed blood and this clay, and you essentially need to filter it through these other two victims. Like filtering blood through a pig, sometimes to purify it. You know that it's done in hospitals sometimes, or in emergency medical situations. You can filter blood through another being, especially an animal, and that's what you're doing here. Is you're purifying kindred vitae through animals. That's all they are.
It's nothing groundbreaking. It's just being executed exceptionally well.
It really is. So between the four of you, you can set up these last two victims in the circle. And Vince, you have everything you need for IVs and blood filtration, thanks to Karen. And you filter this mixture through both of their bodies. And they pass out, luckily for them, within the first few minutes. And once all of the vitae has been filtered through, once there's nothing left in these bags, you filtered it through one, and then you take all of their blood, you drain them with this mixture, and you filter it through the second one. It feels different as you drain them, this last one, into the circle. It's got your power in it, but it feels different as you smell it. You don't have that faint tang of corruption that you scented when you bled yourself earlier. And all of your victims are gone, all dead. Luckily, you only have 5 corpses, and then you have your witness over there. But 4 of them helpfully dissolved into ash. But you have this filter of your own vitae. Maybe if you drink it, maybe it'll do what it's supposed to, Vince.
And Vince turns to the others, and he's been explaining everything you've just said to to the witness, and he's just like, and so, and he just looks at everybody in the eye, and he's like, bottoms up, and he'll just take a good-sized mouthful.
So the three of you and the witness see Vince look at this glass and just down the whole thing as he stands in the center of the circle.
Oh yeah, he absolutely screams. That's why Karen liked him.
You see Karen's melting face coming off the skull, and it bleeds into the floor as the room is spinning and spinning, and there's the smell of blood, and everything is turning red, and you can taste the bitterness in your mouth of ash. And you are in more pain than you've ever been in your entire life or unlife. It hurts like nothing you could have ever expected. It burns to the point where you feel like your brain is about to explode in flames. And then you pass out. And the other three, you feel the static tingle in the air just sort of melt away as Vince passes out in this ritual circle in front of you.
I will go up to Vince and try and shake him awake.
Vince, your eyes pop open. You feel very hungry. You're not sure if this worked. Depends on if you sleep later.
Mm-hmm.
But you feel hungry now. That's got to be a good thing, right?
Yeah. Well, I've been hungry for a while, but yeah. No, this is. Does the hunger feel different, or does it feel?
Well, it's now at 3.
Oh, I see. We're just one rouse check off stigmata again. Okay, so unfortunately, there's no immediate test for whether or not that was 100% successful.
Okay, but we have 2 nights.
Yeah. We just need 8 people for each person. How can I cast it if I can't be in the circle?
Well, give me an occult roll, John, for Vince. We can say occult plus your intelligence as you're processing all of this.
2 successes.
Only 2? Goodness.
Afraid so.
Okay. So you think, you're not sure, but you think that maybe instead of doing the entire ritual all over again for every single vampire you need to purify, you think you can use your own vitae as long as it's filtered through at least one more person. So if this worked, you think you can filter it through another human and pass it on. Your vitae would have to be mixed with whoever you're trying to heal, filtered through this human, whoever they are, and then drunk, and you think that will do it. But you have to wait and see it if you've been healed before you can attempt it.
Yeah. So he just holds up his hands to everyone. He's like, okay, so look, I'm not positive that it worked, but if it did, I'm pretty sure that it's kind of like the same principle as biopharmaceuticals, that I can grow more of this stuff inside, say, a kine, and I can then you guys could feed on them and you would get the benefits of that. So, it's pretty handy, right? Like, ideally, depending on how much of the kind you needed to drink. And he clearly is doing thinking through the maths, and he's like, I don't know how would it scale up, or would it be still dilution? That's unclear. But, yeah. No.
The witness has passed out again as you start rambling about having to filter blood and drink it. And
how many extra people are in this room?
There's only 1 living human in here now. There's the bodies of these other 4. There's the 5th corpse out in the hallway, and then there's this 1 living human.
So, Vince, are you ghouling her?
Well, okay. I won't lie. I hadn't actually
I don't
want to
hear a well, okay. It's a yes or no question.
So I think it would be a good way to go about this. I mean, that she could be a kind of, as long as the drainage to heal one of you isn't lethal to her, it could be useful to have her as a kind of facilitator for what we're doing.
Also, don't get rid of these bodies yet. I have an idea.
As you're having this conversation, Marcus, you've been hanging out in the library with Mina, who's very quiet, and she tries to write something, but you can see how slowly the pen is moving, and she just seems to give up in frustration. And you see some ghostly, ghastly blood trickling down the wall. And then you hear the doorbell ring.
I get up. I walk over to the door.
If you look out the peephole, there's nobody there, but it looks like there's a parcel on the front step.
Nope. Not my house. I look up at the air, the ceiling, I guess, and say, "It appears there's a package, Mina."
The blood starts trickling down the door.
You're gonna get the door all messy. I suppose it's your door anyway. Fine. I yank open the door.
There is a small brown package just on the front porch, and it just says in large, elegant script, Vincent Markovich.
It's for Vince. I will pluck it from the step and put it on what is likely there's probably a small desk by or table by the door. I will place it there. And then shut the door. And then head back to the study and wait. And casually load my gun.
All right. So you did not hear the doorbell ring because the soundproof room was closed.
Right. I was gonna start directing people back upstairs so we can all talk about the stuff that we need to talk about, since we can't do anything tonight. Unless Mina feels a difference.
So you go back upstairs, and Vince, you see there's a package on your table.
Did you guys bring me something?
No.
Oh. He sounds a little bit hurt.
No, it just came.
Oh.
You're gonna be hurt? I brought you the blood that helped you with this.
Oh yeah, He walks over to the package.
It has your name scrawled across it, Vince.
Vince happens to still be holding the bloody scalpel, and yeah, he's just gonna cut the seals on it.
So you cut open the tape. There's no return address, but your nostrils were already heavy with the scent of blood, but you're hit with a fresh scent as you open this package. And inside, you find what looks like a cat's collar, a little bell on it.
Do I recognize the color of that collar?
You don't,
Okay.
but Vince does.
Vince is just looking at it like, son of a bitch. Oh,
And you
motherfucker.
turn it over, and you see the little tag that says Sally Peterson and gives her phone number on the back of this cat's collar. And underneath it, you find a card.
And he's gonna take the little. Just gonna take the little collar. And he's just gonna carefully just put it in his pocket, and he's just gonna say, I think my friend's been murdered."
No, I actually believe that they've been kidnapped.
Oh, like bait.
You think? We were invited.
And he then looks at the card and he's like, oh right. He's like, that's 2 people I liked that they've
I just want to point out Alex totally acted like, of course everybody got one.
I'm sure if we all went to our places of residence, we'd find them.
Right.
Oh, now it's on.
Except for Marcus still has missing people he hasn't tracked down.
Yeah, so that's fuck.
Oh yeah, I'm super pissed.
Marcus, your phone rings.
I stand up and walk
It's from Marie.
down the hall before answering.
And you answer the phone, and Marie is sobbing.
Yes, Marie, what is it?
He's in the parking lot. Jimmy. Oh, God. I just tripped. Oh, God. It's blood everywhere. It's like the first one, but it's worse.
All right.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Go inside the office and lock the door.
Yeah. Wait a minute. And you hear the phone moves away from her ear, and you hear a click, and you get a notification of an incoming media message.
Okay, I go to it.
You see it's a bit grainy because it's a cell phone picture coming in, but there's this bloody corpse. Most of the blood has been removed from it as far as you can tell. And you see again the intestines pulled out. But this kid, teenager, Jimmy, was about 19. He's got paint splattered all over his face. But the camera that Marie used to take this picture is aimed at his chest. And you can see a smashed pair of glasses resting on his chest. And you hear Marie say, "They look like Greg's." Right? He had that horrific neon green stripe on the and he never fixed the bridge, and he's got the duct tape and why does this body have Greg's glasses, Marcus?
I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Go inside the office and lock the door.
I'm going to call 911. Oh, God. Oh, God. And she hangs up and presumably goes inside.
So anyways, while he was on the phone, I'm like looking at the rest of them like we need one more place to go when we have other things we have to do. But I'm hoping that he's there.
I walk back in.
So, do we want to go tonight to this art show so we can get it done with, so we can go track down Zachariah?
Oh, well, I'm good to go as soon as possible. Just let me change my shirt. And he just looks down at the white shirt he was wearing.
Why don't you jump in the shower?
Yeah, okay, I'll be 5 minutes. Just give me a tick.
Can't wash the blood off. Not have fucking time for this. This is probably like the most irritated and angry you've ever seen Alex.
Did it work?
We won't know until tomorrow. Unless, and I'm gonna look around, Mina, do you feel better, dear?
There's a slightly stronger knock on the wall.
I think it may have. She's feeling better. She was suffering along with him. I'm assuming he's one of her major fetters.
Things are going to get messy tonight. Messier.
Messier, yeah. Anyways, so part of my idea, and maybe we should do it for the art show, but we probably don't want the people we care about getting hurt. So when we find Zachariah, I was thinking we should rent a moving truck, right? We're going to take the corpses from downstairs. We're going to put them in that truck. I'm going to reanimate them. And we're going to let them loose at Zachariah.
Well, what's the point of being a necromancer without raising the dead, right?
Well, I'm just saying it's less risk to us. They're already dead.
By any means necessary at this point.
It's kind of my thought. If nothing else, it'll be a distraction and maybe we can sneak up on them.
So, what's the plan? Are we going to the art show?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. And so, before we leave our coterie for this evening, let's turn the camera over to another part of San Francisco, into the Labyrinth, the underground theater, where our prince, Esme Velasquez, holds their court. And this evening, Esme is preparing for a very special visitor. So, Prince Velasquez, why don't you take it away?
So the theater has been shut down for the evening. May that not affect our 5-star rating on Yelp. And all hands are on deck in preparation for our special guest. So there will be live drinks available. There will be stored drinks available. We have a full staff on to make sure that it is clean, that it is safe, not only for our special guests, but for ourselves. And we are more or less sitting not in that audience chamber where we hosted the coterie the first time we met them as a group, but probably in their private office. And they're just sitting, doing everything they can to just calm down and relax, because this is a really big deal that this guest is in town. So they're sitting and they are merely waiting for the heads up that our guest has arrived. So it's kind of like that solemn, cold scene where they're just staring at the same spot in the wall with their fingernails pulling up small circlets of the wood beneath the chair, on the handle of this chair, just in nervous anticipation.
So as you're doing that, you hear a timid knock on the door.
And they don't respond as much as they just gag at it, ah!
The door opens and a generally bouncer, one of your vampires, one of your big burly Bruja, pokes his head in and just says in a much quieter voice than you're used to hearing from him, Monsieur Mallet is here. Yes.
They blink slowly and just wave, 5 clawed fingers in dismissal.
And the door hastily closes. Everyone is on edge in the theater tonight. They've been on edge ever since they heard who was coming to pay a visit, and the tension has only risen throughout the night as everyone's been waiting for him to arrive. So, William.
Yes.
You have arrived at the entrance to the Labyrinth Theater. Have you brought anyone with you?
I've just brought Tiana, my bodyguard, with me.
Okay, so you and Tiana are ushered in by 2 Bruja bodyguards who give a curious but respectful nod towards Tiana when they recognize one of their own kind. And you are ushered down these winding steps into this underground theater. And it's fairly well set up. It's very opulent. It's not your usual hipster kind of theater, which is very modern and very minimalistic. There's velvet curtains and there's plush seats and chandeliers. It's very reminiscent of a bygone era, maybe an opera house sort of thing. And you are led into a waiting area.
I think as we're passing through, looking at all this red velvet and gilt, William just smiles at one of the bodyguards leading us and says, "And they say that money can't buy taste."
The guard just sort of blinks. Yes, sir? He looks a bit confused.
And I just smile at him.
So, Prince Velasquez, are you intending to meet them in the green room or in your box?
Ideally, we'd like to meet him probably in the box. So, more or less waiting for him to be escorted to that door.
All right. So, you are led up the stairs, slight marbled staircase, very wide stairs, towards what would normally be in a mortal theater, the royal box, perhaps set above the stage with a good view of everything. And the bodyguard knocks respectfully at the door.
They will rise, straighten up their suit, bring that tuck in just a bit, and then skulk over to the door. And they look at you. And is your guard up there with you?
Oh yes. Yeah, she's an absolutely enormous Pacific Islander, probably about 3 times the size of William, all told.
All right, so they will open the door and they look to the guard and their eyes flicker back to you and they say, "Guillaume Ale, bienvenido to the Bay Area. Please." They step out of the way and, give you one of those ushering arms to welcome you forward.
Your Excellence, how delightful. Thank you so much for making time to see me. I understand how busy things are and how convoluted the whole situation in San Francisco has become, and I don't really want to distract you from any of that, but I suppose it is long past time we met.
And they smile. Did you enter into the box?
Sure.
Is she attempting to come in as well?
Yes. Unless someone's going to try to stop her.
Yeah, the second you walk in, the Prince, Esme, we're just going to just very quickly shut that door. It's borderline rude, directly in their face.
I'm afraid I must insist that Tiana comes in here with us. It's not that I don't trust you or your staff, but as we've established, the situation in San Francisco is not an especially stable one, and I find it comforting to have her where I can see her. If you'll indulge me.
Clado, surely you'll be fine smelling her, sensing her presence, hearing her just outside this door. I do believe these matters require a certain degree of confidentiality. Beto, if you say you feel more comfortable with her here, by all means.
I'm sorry that you are in a position where you don't feel like you can trust your bodyguards, but certainly I trust Tiana with my life.
Then please, senor, allow your puppy inside. And they'll step away from the door.
Thank you. And I shall usher Tiana in.
May I offer either of you a drink?
Oh, that's very kind of you. We did imbibe just before we came out. Would you consider it terribly rude if we didn't? But I don't want to offend. I am more than happy to if you have someone handy.
They consider you carefully, and they say, "Really? Now, William, you wouldn't think I'd move to poison you, would you?"
I have not got to my considerable age by underestimating people, but no, I wouldn't consider you so crass as to resort to something as base as poisoning.
Their eyes flicker to you for a moment. You can actually see almost like a glimmer of respect kind of float across their eyes, and they take a seat. They extend their palms to you, and they say, "So tell me, William, is this the day that I die?"
Well, that is a very complicated question.
Clado, may we uncomplify it?
You do understand that the current situation in San Francisco is untenable. Things are falling apart in an accelerated manner. And this is a matter that reflects not only on San Francisco, but on the Camarilla at large. If San Francisco were to fall, and the Anarchs, for example, were to gain a greater degree of control, or worse, the Sabbat, then this would not only be dangerous to every kindred in the Bay Area, but to our society at large. And I come here with some degree of regret as a representative of the Camarilla at large to try to salvage this situation. And much of what needs to be done at this stage, I think, depends on you. Would you consider yourself, Your Excellence, to have a sense of pride, of ego? I don't mean pride as in pride in what you've built here in San Francisco, but I mean, would you consider yourself to value your own interests and reputation over the well-being of the Camarilla.
See? Claro.
You do.
Is that not what you expected to hear?
No, it's refreshingly honest. It does, however, complicate things. You see, I came here with an offer. Now, you have probably come to all sorts of conclusions and heard all sorts of rumors about why I'm here. And I'm sure fairly top of your list of suspicions is that I am here to arrange for your assassination. And really, what I came here tonight to discuss was the details of what that assassination might involve.
As you say, your honesto, your honesty. It is refreshing.
Good.
And they actually kind of like roll their shoulders and lean back, and you can actually see like actual relief kind of wash over them as if, okay, this has been confirmed. Now, how are we moving forward?
What I would like to suggest is a solution that I think benefits all, including you. What I would very much like is to, well, I believe the phrase in the construction business is to perform a controlled demolition.
You have their total attention right now. If you didn't have it before, listen, you are in the 99 percentile right now.
You understand that your situation as Prince is completely untenable. And worse than that, there are factions that are actively trying to kill you. Sooner or later, one of them will succeed. And when that happens, it will happen in a messy way that will leave the local Camarilla in disarray. What I propose is arranging for an assassination we can control, but more than that, as a personal and professional courtesy, I know you have powerful friends within the Camarilla, but even then, even if that were not the case, I would still come to you with this offer first of all. And that is that we fake your death. That we provide you with a way of leaving San Francisco quietly after your apparent death. That you create a new existence for yourself elsewhere with a new identity. Maybe retire and enjoy the eternity that awaits you. And by controlling this assassination, this means that we can put in a new pair of hands almost immediately. But more importantly, we can make sure we blame the people that we want to blame. And there is nothing that unites a fractious organization like a crisis and a shared enemy. And your assassination at the hands of the Anarchs, or purportedly at the hands of the Anarchs, would give us an enemy that we could all focus upon, a crisis that we could come together and solve. And as long as we had the right person step in and take over quickly and efficiently, then there would be no loss of continuity.
Clear their throat and they pause. And although their hands, their fingers that are wrapped around the edge of that armchair are very still, they're displaying their concern, their anxiety, their anger, their frustration, their curiosity with the way that their toes, because they don't wear shoes, those Nosferatu toes are like pulling in small grabs through the carpeted floor. Now they say, yo tengo preguntas. Is that okay? If I may make a few inquiries?
Please, I wouldn't expect anything less. But obviously, you understand that discretion is absolutely necessary here. That if there were suspicions that were to leak out into the large community and people were to become aware of this plan, then that would negate its effectiveness. And the only option we would be left with would be to carry it out for real.
No, claro, I understand. Pero when dealing with the Los Descripcionos, my question for you is, why is the Camarilla extending such a courtesy? Why not just slay me now?
The Camarilla is not extending this courtesy. I am. And honestly, I've been alive for a very long time. I have seen a lot of death. I've been responsible for a lot of death. And
Sí, claro.
while it is a useful tool, I can't say it ever really brings me pleasure. And if there is the opportunity to do this quietly and efficiently without killing you, then I'm happy to do that. And honestly, most of it comes down to expedience. That by having your cooperation in this, we can ensure that everything goes to plan. If I am forced to kill you for real, then I'm sure you'll defend yourself and things will get messy and unpredictable, and there will be outcomes that neither of us want, and it will be bad for the camera at large.
Indeed.
This is less clemency and more pragmatism.
See, no, I appreciate the creativity behind such an offer. Who is to be my replacement? Oh, come now. Don't tell me you don't already have this planned out. That would be an insult to my own intelligence.
Oh, it's not that, but I was just wondering whether knowing that would make you happy at all, or make the situation any easier. It's not that I don't trust you, it's just that I see no reason to share that information at this stage. It's not pertinent to what we're discussing.
William, por favor. I surrendered any form of happiness the night Luther died.
I understand.
It's a curiosity.
Well, while I will not confirm anything, I am sure that if you made an educated guess, you would very probably be right.
Cuando? When? When would this assassination happened?
I think the sooner the better. Obviously, we'll need a night or two to plan things out, but I'd really want to make this happen sooner rather than later. As we've said, the situation in San Francisco is extremely volatile, and the sooner we can establish fresh continuity, the better.
Interessante. I tell you, William, I was not expecting this particular conversation. Assuredly, you cannot expect a decision to be made this night.
Not in the slightest. But I would appreciate you making a quick decision. As I said, rather than letting the situation drag out longer than it has to. Not only for the well-being of San Francisco and the Camarilla, but also for your well-being. That spending too long agonizing on a decision like this will only make you upset.
Oh, no, I assure you, there will be no agonizing.
Good.
I expected to die this very night.
I'm sure you did. And, well, I'm sorry to disappoint you. What I would suggest is that once you've made your decision, we start putting together the plans for how exactly we're going to execute the plan. If you'll pardon the pun.
William, not to hold too much of your tu tiempo, pero how honestly aware of you of the machinations happening inside of the Bay Area? Despite my ego and despite my pride, should I abruptly disappear, there are strands, there are loose ends, there are things that will require immediate attention.
Indeed. And yes, I have friends I can call upon within the area who, for a start, have kept me apprised of details so far, and can continue to do so as the situation develops. I mean, obviously, I would very much appreciate your input on whatever you think needs done before your departure. But I think rest assured that the situation will be in a safe pair of hands once you leave.
And my final question for you, and let me say this much, William, how do the young people say it today? The smoothness of your tongue, your reputation by far precedes you. You are very flowery. However, I do have one very direct question for you. Do you believe, do you sincerely trust that should I go into hiding, that I will remain there?
I believe that out of all the people in whose interests it will be for you to remain hidden after your death, the person who would have the most to lose if the truth were to come out would be you. And I believe your self-interest will ensure the success of this plan.
Plato. And they begin to rise from their seat. They do like the double hand pat on the edge of the handrail, and they stand up. You immediately get that impression like they are terminating this conversation. This engagement is over, and you are soon to be escorted out. That's the entire vibe that they're rising with as they pull themselves from their seat.
William stands up as well, probably coming up to about your chin, and looks up at you and smiles.
Mañana? Tomorrow? I should have an answer for you, no?
I look forward to it.
And they flash you a smile that is, for all intents and purposes, actually sincere.
And William gives you a little nod.
And that is where we will leave tonight's session. Thank you all for listening, and have a good night.